Good evening and welcome to Cohoes City School District Board of Education meeting tonight, April 23rd. The meeting is going to be called to order at 6:04 p.m. Evacuation procedures. We have two doors here on the side and the one that we came in, we would meet out front. If you could please just stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice.
Thank you. Have a roll call, please.
Mr. Jackson.
Here.
Mrs. Snyder. Here. Mrs. Gendron.
Here.
Mrs. Paradis.
Excuse,
Mr. Droz.
Here.
And Mrs. Geller.
I am here. At this time, I will turn it over to Superintendent O'Shea for our district reports.
So thank you. As you know, on tonight's agenda, we have our budget proposed adoption. So I'm going to turn this over to Stacy Mackey to share with you what you have heard a few times before, but we try to make it a little shorter this time, but next time for the hearing, it'll be the full budget presentation.
So the proposed budget hasn't changed since the last time we met. It's $54,865,497. It's a 2.67% increase, $1.4 million. Revenue hasn't changed either. The New York State budget still has not been finalized, so we're going off of our best estimates. So we still have an asterisk next to our state aid. I'll bring to your attention our dependency on state and federal aid. So the first three line items, it's about 63% of our budget is state and federal aid. So we're heavily dependent on our state aid with 33.5% property taxes and about 2.5% other revenue sources. So again, the majority of our aid, of our revenue is from state aid. The property tax levy, so we are under the cap, which was 3.67%. The proposed budget includes a 2% increase on property taxes. It's $362,000 in new revenue for the district. And what that would mean for a homeowner with a $150,000 assessed value property, it's about $5 before STAR, the change in STAR a month. It's about $60 for the year. The STAR exemption is going down, so that's another $21, but that's not anything that we have any control over. So I've talked about $7 historically, so with STAR, it's about $7. From a historical standpoint, the last 2 years, we had a 1% increase. So we've stayed and maintained underneath the cap, which we actually every year. Expenses. So proposed expenses, you will see instruction is 54% of our budget as a decrease this year. I want to talk about the last 3 years as we've seen some significant increases in state aids, particularly our foundation aid. We've invested over the last 3 years over $7 million in instruction, which obviously was needed. So we're still on the plus side if we look at a 4-year look back. So this year, unfortunately, it's an extremely tight budget. You'll see employee benefits are up $542,000. That is 26% of our overall budget. Operations, which includes security in that line item. We have some enhancements in the proposed budget. So that's 11% of our budget. Transportation, we've seen significant increases here. We're working on a bid. We hope to have new contracts in place next year. That's 5% of our budget. And debt service, you'll recall that last year we had a temporary decrease as the debt was retiring. That's going to normalize next year, so it'll go up again next year and it'll normalize. It's usually about 3.4 million. So we're still down over what the norm is for us. So look at our expenses. The 3-part budget. So we have our program costs, which are 80% of the overall budget. So that includes all of our and our teachers and our staff that deliver pupil services for us, which includes guidance, our textbooks and instructional materials and equipment, as well as transportation costs. Capital costs are 10.5%. They include benefits for our maintenance and our custodial staff, as well as our debt for our buildings and our utilities and our tax tertiary. So utilities are up this year. That's a considerable increase for us across the board in our utilities. And then administrative. So administrative component is about 9% of the budget. And that includes our salaries and our benefits for administrators and professional development, and then all of the legal aspects, including our fund audits and our planning and our evaluation. So budget highlights for this year. We're maintaining all of our previous student supports. The focus is primarily on health and safety. So we are increasing a 0.5 campus safety monitor at our middle school. So that should be three total in the building. We are also going to have a stipend for a district-wide school safety coordinator to oversee security throughout the district. And for facilities, we have several local projects that we're going to focus on health and safety that we talked about through the facilities presentation last week, and the HVAC audit, which is really needed to focus on what our long-term plan is going to be for facilities and potential new capital reserve the next year or two. From an instructional programs aspect, we have the alternative program for grades 8 through 10. And for in technology systems, we have a 1.0 computer technician, which we had gone one-to-one a number of years ago. We hadn't seen an increase in the staff. We really almost need a dedicated resource for the student devices. So that's just right-sizing that department. And we have obviously the Chromebook needs. The plan is for 5th and 9th grade Chromebooks replacement for the upcoming year and our classroom displays. So for next steps, we have some deadlines approaching. So April 28th, we have the property tax report card, which is actually on the agenda for tonight for you to approve, and then we can submit it to SED early. And then the board petition deadline is also on April 28th. We have the public hearing on May 7th. The newsletter should be able to be mailed out prior to that. That'll go out to the residents. And then May 20th is the annual vote, and the polling locations are at each of our elementary schools, and it takes place from noon to 9 p.m.
And just so you know, there will be an article on the website with Parent Square sent out tomorrow about the budget. We're ready to go with that as well. We'll be presenting to staff at meetings during the first full week of May. We have a Rotary presentation coming up, and then we're working on some other potential presentations of the budget, and we'll keep you posted. Any questions?
I feel like we've talked and talked about this. We're all very well aware.
All right. So to continue with some updates and reports, so tonight on the agenda for adoption is the policy for ex officio student board members. I just wanted to give you an update about some of the planning. So announcements regarding these openings will go out the second week of May. We thought that would give us time to get through the hustle and bustle of the prom and then put out those announcements with a deadline for notification of desire to serve by May 23rd, with the selected candidates being chosen the second week of June prior to Regents Week. Mrs. Tarlow will be further discussing the process with student council advisors and officers in the upcoming week, and then we'll talk more specifically about the process, but that's the time frame. I wanted to provide an update on ELL. So in considering all of the factors, I'm recommending that we begin this during the 25-26 school year. I've asked Mr. Byrd to work with teachers now to determine who those teachers will be. We have the outline of a PD plan and, we'll be putting that together a little further. That'll allow time for those teachers to visit Harmony Hill next year. It'll also allow time for the ENL teachers to visit, both Lansing and Van Skyke. And for other professional development, not only on the use of instructional techniques, but also on the use of technology. So we understand that with the additional year, there will be some additional support needed at Harmony Hill. Just wanted to first of all let you know that we did provide additional iPads this year to Harmony. Those are working very well. My plan is to meet with the ELL teachers, Jacqueline DeCero and Mark Perry, over the next couple of weeks to talk about potential needs, also with some classroom teachers. And then I feel that those can be met through our Title III ESL grant and our Title III immigrant grant. I'm talking things like maybe potential and additional aid to help translate things like that. And then we'll also share a communication plan with you for the upcoming year.
You said that you were going to implement it for the 25-26?
Yeah.
That's September.
I'm sorry, 26, 27.
Okay.
I'm a year.
I was getting confused.
A year out. I'm so sorry. Thank you for catching me. I'm still stuck in 24. Okay, so 26, 27. Good catch. Did anybody else catch that? You said, what the heck is she talking about? All right. Thank you.
I had to until you said a whole year. And I'm like, wait, no,
Yeah.
that doesn't give us the whole year.
Yeah, okay. Just a little bit of update on UPK registration. I know I shared the numbers, but we still have openings for our fours. We've been advertising, we're putting out posters again. We have put out posters and flyers looking at some maybe additional locations. As I mentioned, there will not need to be a lottery for slots, but there will need to be a lottery for home schools for the threes, and that will take place on May 8th. So again, any student who applied will have be able to attend the program. It's just a matter of where they'll be able to attend.
And parents will be able to attend that lottery. Is it in person or I'm not sure how.
Yeah,
we're
we
doing it in person.
moved to virtual, and then the feedback was that the virtual was positive because then they could either join virtually or watch the video after. So it'll still be virtual.
Okay,
Yep, with the link sent out.
but we'll be notified of that
Yep.
ahead of time.
And I think that's it. Along with the upcoming event, normally we have many upcoming events, but the highlight over the next 2 weeks before our next meeting is the time.
Great, thank you.
Stacy, anything else?
I have some old business. So the internal audit report, I was hopeful that we'd have it for tonight's agenda, but I have not received it. Michael Wolf hopes to work on the report over the weekend. So hopefully the next time we meet, I'll have that report. I'll obviously share it as soon as I have it. And then just a reminder, we do have, in June, we'll have our final borrowing for the capital project. So that'll be our long-term debt. It won't be a short-term ban. It'll be a long-term debt. So the board president will have some signing to do. So I'll share the timeline as soon as I know it, but it's at some point in June. It'll be probably mid-June. Very good.
Any questions? Any board discussion of agenda items? I just have one thing to bring up. It is item 6J through L. This is an agreement to initiate a third-party review of some of our high-cost prescriptions. I know that we've talked about that in public session before, and we need to, if we're going to go into this agreement, get it on the books before the end of this school year. I'm just requesting that the board allow us to go to individual separate vote for that. It is focused primarily on GLP-1 medications. However, within some of the language, it does allow for other medications to be added to it later on. And being in a position where I have someone in my family on a trial medication, very expensive. I think a third-party review just adds an additional barrier that just is against my personal philosophy. So I open that up for conversation if anybody has any. We will do that before consent, if you guys agree to that.
Okay.
Any comments from the audience on agenda items? What's that?
Should Heather have? Got to get this together. Oh, I just want to say how pleased I am that tonight on the agenda, there's a recommendation for Heather Brott as principal of Cohoes Middle School. So.
Okay, so we'll move on to our agenda. I'd like to make a motion that the Board of Education remove items 6J through L from the consent agenda for a separate vote.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder,
Yes.
Mrs. Gendron,
Yes.
Mrs. Paredes, Mr. Gross.
Yes.
And Mrs. Geller.
Yes. Can I ask the clerk to read aloud items 6J through L?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the memorandum of agreement between the Cohoes City School District and CSEA Local 1000 AFS CME ALF CIO Unit Albany County Local 801 dated April 23rd, 2005 in accordance with the terms and conditions herein. K, be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the memorandum of agreement between the Cohoes City School District and the Cohoes Teachers Association dated April 23rd, 2025 in accordance with the terms and conditions herein. And L is be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the memorandum of agreement by and between the Cohoes City School District and the Cohoes Principals Association dated April 23rd, 2025 in accordance with the terms and conditions herein.
Thank you. Okay, so now I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt 6J through L. So this is approving the motions 6J through L. Can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
A second.
I'll second.
So your vote is to yes or no?
Yes.
And now
Okay,
go through.
now you can
Okay.
roll call, yes.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder,
Yes.
Mrs. Gendron,
Yes.
Mr. Gross,
Yes.
and Mrs. Geller.
No. Okay, so we'll, oh, actually, you have to read. In the above case. In the above case, motion passed.
Oh, okay. In the case above, the motion passes on a 4-1.
Thank you. So we'll move to the rest of adopting the consent agenda. I'm sorry, this is very confusing. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education adopt the following resolutions of the consent agenda? 6A through I and 6M and 7A through H.
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Jackson.
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder.
Yes.
Mrs. Gendron.
Yes.
Mrs. Paredes. Mr. Gross.
Yes.
And Mrs. Geller.
Yes. Thank you. Congratulations, Ms. Brott. Welcome. We are very happy to have you as the new principal of the middle school. It's official. Are there any comments from Board of Education members on anything other than what's on the agenda? I would just ask to follow up at a future meeting. I know that there had been something brought to our attention regarding potential collaboration with CDTA. I saw Mrs. Tarlow today, and I think maybe, just want to make sure that we follow up on that to see if there are any opportunities for us to have, some kind of a relationship with them to support our folks. That was a surprise, I know, but I just thought about it when she.
I remember. I remember.
Any comments from the audience on anything not related to the agenda? Okay. We just reviewed our second review and approved the policy 2245, which is the ex officio student board member, and policy 7000 facilities development. Dates for future meetings are May 7th and the 21st, right here in the Cohoes Middle School Library at 6 p.m. Can I get a motion to adjourn at 6:25 p.m.?
Make the motion.
Aye. Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mrs. Gendron? Yes. Mrs. Paradis is excused, Mr. Juros?
Yes.
And Mrs. Geller?
Yes. Thank you all for coming.
You.